Welcome to Don't Fuck This Up, the podcast answering the ultimate question, how the fuck did you land that cool job? I'm your host, Lauren Alvarez. Hello and welcome to another episode of Don't Fuck This Up. Today's guest I'm so excited about. She's an entrepreneur, content creator, comedian, award-winning groomer, and instructor, and oh yeah, the founder of Jess Rona Grooming. It is Jess Rona. Jess, welcome to Don't Fuck This Up. What's up?
Thank you.
I'm so excited to do this. And before we even dive into anything, because there's so much I want to chat with you about today, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm a little sleepy right now. I don't know what it is. I've just been not sleeping.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you ever have this where you kind of I get rebellious late at night and I'm like, I don't want to go to sleep.
Yeah, I actually get hyper.
And do you really? Sometimes I get hyper too. But I also lately have just been so rebellious where I'm like, I don't want to go to sleep. So I'm not going to go to sleep. Take that, future me. I don't even know,
what are you doing when you're staying up?
Oh my God, scrolling, watching TV. I'm actually working on a screenplay right now. And I got so into it last night that I was writing, which is pretty good, being productive. Yeah. But get to bed, Jessie, get to bed.
I also feel like when you hit the flow, you hit the flow though. You've got to go with it. You
hit the flow.
You can't turn that off. When the boss is going, you got to go with it.
Yeah, I'm writing my first screenplay and it's so fun. I'm obsessed. I want to be a writer.
Do we know what this is about? Are we going to share?
It's a Christmas movie. It's a Christmas movie.
Oh my gosh. I love this.
I guarantee you, because there's a bit of a hook, I'm not going to say what kind of Christmas movie, but I'm pretty sure someone's going to want to buy this one.
I love it. That's not bad for your Hulu, first one.
If you're listening. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've written many things. Just this is my first structured screenplay. I've written pilots and shows and web series and sketches and so many other things.
So this is the first structured screenplay and we're going to get it sold. So if you're listening.
Yeah, we're going to get it sold.
Yeah. And you'd like to contact Jess about this Christmas movie. There'll be contact info in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I love that. I mean, so outside of the grooming world, I mean, you are so multifaceted. That's one thing I think that stands out so much about you. And you've really created your own space, even in such a, do I even say saturated? Like the grooming, industry, I feel like it's not really known for being high status, and you've really elevated, you created something completely unique. I can imagine that you're just inventing things left and right outside of the dog world. What is it like for you kind of on a day-to-day? Are you always just firing off ideas? Do these things land on a list? What is the magic of Jess Rona Brain?
Oh man, I'm always firing off ideas. I'm never short of ideas. In fact, I have too many and it's annoying to everyone else around me. But I guess I think it just depends. I do have a to-do list. I have a calendar, high priority things get put on a to-do list in the Google Cal. Yeah. But, I use a software called Notion. It's like a sauna.
I love Notion.
Yeah. So we use Notion to help keep track of my online courses, which is another side of my business.
Yeah.
And I mean, admittedly, I'm all over the place. I want to do a lot of things. I realized that it's time for me to focus on what I really, really want and try to say what can I do today to move the needle forward in the big things that I want to do. So I'm working on releasing myself of busy work, even though sometimes it's fun. It relaxes my brain to do busy work. Like scheduling clients.
Yeah. I like a little admin
work, a little Google Sheet situation.
Yeah. Give me a form to fill out. I might do that.
Yes. Oh my God. Right.
Yeah.
But I love a Google Sheet. And sometimes I like busy work because it's so easy. It's not as draining as everything else.
Well, I was just going to say that it's like a little escape sometimes for me to go in and
Yeah.
like organize some files or like clean up something that I left and abandoned it, and I'm not delegating it. But I also, I coach a lot of executives, and it ends up being a thing that like we have a really hard time delegating because, well, perfection is the enemy of good, but also like it's kind of like your baby. So sometimes you're like, let me just check the admin on this baby really quick, and like make
Oh,
sure it ate.
totally.
Yeah.
But I know I shouldn't be cleaning something or like, I know to delegate. I know I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be an owner, not an operator. I know what I should be doing. Sometimes I guess, yeah, I mean, should. But I
Yeah.
guess like sometimes it's fun to tinker in my
Yeah.
shop until like I like it sometimes.
Yeah. And I also think that like those are the things that sometimes it's, 10 p.m. and, you're like decide to wash your hair and you're like, you know what? This idea cannot wait. And that's when, we don't sleep. I totally get it. I think that's a normal part of being an entrepreneur, and always having the wheels turning means you're staying a step ahead of everybody else, or 10 steps. You're probably 10 steps.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. I mean, for you, like starting out, I mean, did you always know that you wanted to work with animals? It seems like I don't think you could be in this industry if you didn't have the hugest passion, heart, energy for animals. But I really think that it would be interesting to learn, how did you get into this business?
Friend, I was not wanting to be a dog groomer when I started. I was not thinking about it. It was just like a not like regular 9 to 5 job. It was like, oh, bathe dogs when I was 18. Yeah, I'll do that to make some money so I can like buy a car and hopefully become a waitress so that I can get auditions. And like, that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a full-time actor. And I hid the fact that I was a dog groomer from people. I wouldn't tell people because I didn't want them to see me that way. That was later on. In the beginning, like, I was just finding myself. But no, I really totally fell into it. But that said, like when I moved to New York and I started doing a lot of improv and I waited tables and I stopped grooming dogs completely. And so I realized when I turned 30, I was like, I don't want to wait tables anymore. I'd waited tables
Yeah.
for 6 years. I was like over it. I really actually enjoyed waiting tables.
Yeah.
I love food. I love wine. I love being in that, like, I love the nightlife.
Yeah.
But when I got, like, I was like, damn, I'm 30. Like, I think it's time for me to get my shit together. So I moved back to LA from New York and I was like, I'm going to get really, really good at improv and dog grooming because those are the things I love to do. Let me just do that. And so I started to do grooming competitions, which were really helpful for getting good at dog grooming because you get basically private coaching from the judge. So you do a competition, the judge goes over your dog, and these are like world renowned groomers.
Yeah.
They go over your dog and they're like, here's what you need to do to get better. And so by the grooming competitions, this was like in 2012.
Yeah.
Then I started to get better. And so I started doing grooming competitions and then I started interning at UCB. I had already done UCB classes in New York and then I just
Me too.
continued.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Continued doing UCB in LA and just like got on a bunch of indie teams, was always performing. So I was like doing improv shows at night and grooming dogs during the day. That was my life for a long time. But yeah, I just really just kind of fell into it. I was lucky enough to have mentors teach me over the years, just like, how to do pads and nails, how to, do like basic haircuts. And like, it wasn't until I made the decision that I wanted to get good at it, this thing I knew how to do.
Yeah.
That's when I started to get good at it.
I think that's so interesting because it sounds like you had an unlock. And I think that is so accurate when you are sort of doing something just because you're doing it out of convenience, or like we've all fallen into a job or a relationship for that matter, or anything. You can fall into lots of things. But I think that when you're intentional about it, all of a sudden it changes a tone, and it kind of, you have accountability, even if it's just to yourself, about what you want out of it, what you're hoping to get. And I didn't know that about grooming competitions, that they were going to give you so much insight. I mean, this is a world that's something I don't know a lot about, which is one of my favorite parts of the show. But, knowing that they're coming over and giving you notes, I mean, how do you even start? Can anybody get into a grooming competition? Can you just apply to be in it?
Nowadays, there's so much competition just to sign up because there's such a limit with how many people can do the competition, that
Yeah.
there'll be a buzz about like, oh, cart's going to open for the competition at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Everybody set your alarms, and it sells out in seconds.
Wow.
So that's how it is now. But back in the day, it wasn't like that at all. Any groomer can do a competition. It depends on what your expertise is. There's these like trade shows, and there's a stage, and the stage has 3 levels, and it's like 3 levels of groomers. It's like beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And there's all these different competitions. There's, like the poodle competition, the creative competition, the freestyle, like there's all different, like terriers, hand stripping, all other purebreds with the Bichons and the Bedlingtons. And so it depends on what your expertise is. And it takes years to become an expert in one breed. So you'll see the same competitors, because as you get better, there's less and less competition.
Yeah.
But you'll see these competitors doing Bichon after Bichon in every competition throughout the United States, traveling. They have their own dog that they compete with. It's like they are competitive groomers. That is what they do. And you can win money. You can join Groom Team USA, which is the 4 top groomers in the country. They go and represent the United States in a huge international grooming competition called World.
The Grooming Olympics, basically.
It's the Grooming Olympics. That's going to be my next screenplay, by the way.
I'm
going
ready
to write
for it.
a movie about that. It's going to be like, I'm really excited about
I love that.
one.
I think I can already the wheels are turning, and I don't even know about the Grooming Olympics, but I'm like, I feel like it'll be a comedy for sure, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah. It's because people take grooming so seriously, and it's just, that's comedy.
Yeah.
That's the funny part. I have a web series that I shot that I was like pitching around town a little bit, and like I don't have reps, and it was kind of hard to like get it in the door, get in the room for anybody. But so I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to put it up on YouTube. So it's on YouTube. It's called For the Love of Dog.
I did see that.
You did?
Yeah.
That is like my dream show to make, because it combines my 2 loves, which are improv and dog grooming. It's a fully improvised show, like a Curb Your Enthusiasm kind of best in show tone, but it was really fun to make. But yeah, that's it's about, like, part of it, we talk about the grooming competition, and it's just awesome. So serious. And I feel like the more seriously you take dog grooming, the funnier it is. So like, it's just comedy in front of my eyes. I'm like looking at these real people, like having very deep conversations about allergies to dander and saliva, and like how, it's just like, or like the re-angulation on a poodle, and they're like really talking seriously about it. And it's just really funny to me.
Have you seen any, or do you have any funny memories from any of these competitions that stand out to you specifically, like a good story?
I mean, it's really fun because, and this is, I don't have a specific story, but like the gossip happens.
Yeah.
Like, did you see that Dutch trim that so-and-so did? And then he placed with that trim. Are you kidding me? Did you see the lines where his tuck up was so far back? I can't even believe it.
So or like bitchy hairdressers.
The gossip, the bitchy hairdressers talking about the haircut on a poodle, or, whatever, on a Westie, did you see her spray up? It flopped right in front of the judge, like just stuff like that. And it's like, it's so funny.
That is really funny.
Yeah,
do you specialize in a specific type of dog? I've seen you post so many different types of dogs. You have amazing clientele. Do you have a favorite, or do you have a specialty? Because you said it takes years to master this.
Yeah. So when I competed with Bichons, and I also did the freestyle. So I got really pretty decent at the poodle breed standard and the Bichon breed standard. So I'm pretty knowledgeable with the poodle and Bichon. And poodle, if you know the poodle breed standard, you can kind of apply it to any pet trim. That's kind of what I teach in my online courses. I have a body blueprint course, which helps you sort of balance the dog. So, sometimes you see a dog that has a shaved body and a big head.
Yes.
Or like even the opposite, where they have a little head and a big body, like it looks weird.
Yeah.
So I know how to take a dog and make them look like they're standing up straight, like they have, like they're slender, like they're cute and compact teddy bears, so that when you look at them, they don't look imbalanced. They look proportionate and like adorable. So my specialty is pet trims. I claim that is my specialty.
Yeah.
And but I also apply the poodle breed standard to my pet trims. I feel like I'm getting technical, but that's basically what I do.
No,
I'm
I mean,
very
it's
inspired
like,
by
can you
that.
do that for me? Can I have that? Can you make me present like I'm standing up straighter? That'd be perfect.
Yeah,
I really
like when
that.
you take the double chin off a dog, it like makes them look.
It's like Photoshop. Like you're giving them Photoshop. It's really incredible.
I saw some cute little poodlies on Instagram, like the fun ones that are in like Korea or Japan. And they have these chonky dogs that are shaped like clouds and they just leave all the chin. And I'm like, okay, so like that's intentional and it's a decision and I think it works.
Yeah.
You know? And then I think as long as you have an intentional haircut and it looks like you wanted it this way, you're good.
I mean, I love that because I also think there's so many different mixes of dogs now, and with the growth and rescues, and we're seeing so much, you know, with different dogs coming from different countries. There's probably a lot of, you know, uniqueness. I mean, I have a unique boy as well, but I always think about that with dogs. I mean, what are some of the challenges that you didn't really anticipate when you started out doing this that you're seeing now come in? Is it the unique breeds? Is it the different blends, or is it the owners?
Oh man. I mean, I feel like the unique challenges could just be behavioral issues with dogs. But I mean, I love any breed really, although Wheatons can be a lot. Wheatons could be a lot, especially if they're not fixed. If you have a Wheaton out there, hey, fix your dog, unless they're fixed, which then we're good. But yeah, I mean, I think the challenges, I attract some really amazing clients. I feel like the type of person that wants to come to JRG is like a super duper dog lover.
Yeah.
And like they want to like give their dog the world. And so that's the kind of person that we attract. So it's like we don't really have a lot of high maintenance clients. Even the celebs are cozy bears. So like we're so lucky.
Well, I think it's interesting because, you know, thinking about the challenges of having a business and you're hoping that you get the clients that you want, but there's always like the push and the pull and there's tension or someone refers someone and you're like, oh, it's not a match. I mean, is there ever a moment where you say, you know, this isn't a great fit or, you know, I think somebody, okay. What does it take to like not be a good match?
Many times. So like I look at my business as a living, breathing entity that grows with me as I grow.
Yeah.
And if my business is like, I'm like a mama bear to my business and it's like this little thing that I'm taking care of. So if something externally threatens it, like someone is rude to an employee, they don't show up for their appointment, they haggle me for pricing, you know, whatever that is, then they're trying to hurt my baby. Or that said, if it happens internally where I have a toxic employee or, you know, like someone doesn't come into work or something like that, that's an internal like force that's hurting my business from the inside. So I'm always like, I have boundaries with both. Yeah. And I've had to release clients for sure if it's not a right fit. Sometimes it's just we have a cage-free salon.
Yeah.
So as you know, so sometimes dogs do not do well with dogs walking around as they're getting groomed. And so our environment is not really for every kind of dog. Yeah. If it's a dog that's easily distracted, that's tough because they're looking like this and we have sharp tools around their face. A lot of dogs, it's mostly male dogs that are not fixed. Those are the dogs that are just really distracted, really. I mean, not all of them. Some of them are sweet babies. But like, that's when we've had to say, we just blame our environment. We just say, we're so sorry. And then we give referrals. I'm like, here's all of our referrals. We have a whole list of referrals that we give to people.
I think, I think when it's not a good match, it's not a, I think it's doing someone a disservice if you're not honest about it, because, whether it's the dog or the human or both, or or the environment or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, your approach is a lot, you talk a lot about energy, and you talk a lot about, like, creating that calm environment, how that's introduced by the human, that is doing the grooming and making it a not stressful situation. I have a very stressed out dog that 90% of the time, who's like happy as can be when he's there. So what I find so
Yeah.
interesting is that, like, that litmus, and I know because I've worked in the hiring space for so long, it is so hard to hire people who treat your business like, it's theirs, and who
Hmm.
care them as much as you care. What have been some of your parameters for hiring great people? Because I feel like your teams are amazing.
Oh my God. That is when you're talking about the biggest challenges, that's the biggest challenge of running a business is your
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
That, like, clients, I have so many clients. I have too many clients. That's never a problem. Like, any business, you can find clients. You can go out and find anyone. But to hire people and keep them is such a different ball game.
Yeah.
And over the years, I've really been working on becoming a better leader and realizing that the more internal work and healing I do as a person, the more I'm able to show up for someone as a leader in the best way possible. Doesn't mean I'm not flawed. Doesn't mean I don't have bad days. I'm still a human, but I'm able to recover and repair pretty quickly and easily. And so I do hire based on energy, because if you're not sweet and cozy and easy to work with, I'm not going to be able to teach you things. So we do a 30-day. First, I have a very lengthy interview process for anybody that comes over. I have a girl who used to run my shop, who's an old friend, Bailey. She used to be a recruiter, and now she's a stay-at-home mom, and she has like her own little business. And I will ask her. She basically helps, like, vet employees for me. And so I will have them go through her. Once they pass Bailey, then they get to me. Then they do an in-person interview with me and maybe my shop manager or my assistant. And then after that, they do a working interview where I could see how well they take direction and how well they work with dogs. Then once they pass through Bailey and then the interview and then the working interview, then we do a 30-day trial. So, like, be slow to hire, quick to fire.
Yeah.
I'm very slow. We check references. I am, like, very slow to hire because I've been burned enough times to know that I should be doing that. I used to be so different. I would be like, yes, you're great. In the interview, hire you right away. Like,
when can you
I
start?
when can you start? Like, right there. Super impulsive. I'm very impulsive by nature, very in the moment. And that, definitely was a big lesson to learn, I should say. A very expensive lesson.
It's
very big
expensive.
lesson.
Yeah. And hiring the wrong person or bringing someone on who's not a match, costs you time, costs you energy, because onboarding and training and getting someone just to even, be at that high bar that you have for talent is so much work. And then, not to mention, if they're putting out bad energy, bad vibes, shitty attitude, like, you name it. I mean, that's not going to be any easier. It's going to take hours and, hopefully not months of your time. Hopefully you can figure it out pretty quickly. But yeah.
With every time I learn a lot more and more and more every time.
Yeah. So in an ideal state, I mean, what I think is so incredible is that scaling yourself is so hard as an entrepreneur. And, I think you've done a really remarkable job of hiring good people, but then also you've created courses. You have an amazing presence on social, which I'd love to get into as well. But talking about the courses, I mean, did this come from kind of, wow, I can't take on any more one-on-one people to coach, I need to create this? Was this a demand thing, or was it another web series that you're like, hold on, I think we could make this, grooming courses? How did you think of that? It's so clever. I love that you have created a way to, I'll say, turn on its head the grooming industry, and it's needed.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah. I listened to this podcast called Manifestation Babe. And do you know her?
I do. Yeah. Great. Okay. Great show.
Great show. And she's making this incredible income doing online courses. because I'm like, how can I make money? Because the brick and mortar is very limited.
Yeah.
We can only do so many dogs. My overhead is insanely high.
Yeah.
The margin is terrible. I don't make a killing at all. Like I'm pretty much almost breaking even a lot of the times when it comes to my brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Unless we have a fully trained staff, which like how often is that? So I was like, I want to diversify my income stream so I don't have to be worried about my income with my brick and mortar. And so I was so inspired by Manifestation Babe, which it's ironic because yes, she's iconic. She's a queen.
Yeah.
I even groomed her dogs a few times.
Oh
She
my
moved
gosh.
to
I get
Arizona,
little heart
but
eyes. I was like, oh.
yeah, I just love her so much.
Yeah.
Like she's so generous and so like she's amazing.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really paying attention necessarily to what she was saying.
Yeah.
I was more paying attention to the moves she was making in her business. And so I'm like, oh, she has an online business manager. She uses Kajabi as her platform. She, this guy named James Wedmore, I'm not sure if you know him, but like
No.
he has a course called Business by Design where he teaches online course creators basically and online entrepreneurs. And so she teaches at Business by Design. I was just like, what moves is this girl making? Because she's selling courses, making money by teaching people how to make money. So it's like kind of ironic a little bit because I'm like, you're selling me something. You're telling me how rich you are basically and how you've manifested this money,
Yeah.
but you're selling me a course so that you can continue making money. It's weird. You know what I mean?
I love that though. It's like feeding your own pipeline, like essentially.
Yes. And you know, if you do any woo work, which I totally do.
Yes. We live in LA.
Everything comes, right? Everything comes from source.
Mm-hmm.
So she's still manifesting through source. It's not like black and white like that. She is tapped into source and universal intelligence. She's got such a deep understanding of this stuff that she is my biggest expander. She's my biggest inspiration. She's the one that got me started on my course creation journey. And she's the reason that I've manifested what I have. Because if you're listening to this and you don't know her, start at the beginning, go back. I mean, actually, no, don't start at the beginning. She was really young at the time.
Yeah. I was
but
like,
now
how far back?
I would say like, yeah, don't go to like 2021. There you go. Start there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also amazing when we think about who's had influence in our lives and, you know, how that plays into then how we in turn influence other people. And it is that energy exchange. It's like what we take in is hopefully what we can put out, and then you have to replenish. And so I also think that one of the things that she probably does by bringing other people on, teaching them her ways, it also kind of replenishes her reserves of being inspired by seeing you create your courses, you create your success, and to grow your financial future. You know, that's the dream, right? It's not just to have it all for yourself. It's to see everybody else come up with you, right? We're all trying to go to the moon together.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Who else has made that kind of arc for you in terms of influence? I mean, this, you know, you're in an industry where I'm not going to call you a lone wolf because you have such a community, but you are so unique in where you stand in your industry. Who else influences you and inspires you to kind of keep you moving forward?
Well, I want to inch away from the dog grooming eventually. I'm not sure. I say that now, and then every time I inch away, I miss it. So I'm really inspired by Jen Atkin. She is another expander for me. She's also a client, and I love her, and she's a friend. And she built a product line and sold it.
Yeah.
And I am building a product line now too.
Yes.
I think my biggest Jen Atkin. I also love like artists, you know, movie makers. Christopher Guest is huge for me. Like my 2024 and beyond right now, I'm just gravitating towards writing movies, making movies, and creating my product line.
Yeah.
Building up the brick and mortar to run itself and to be like our cute flagship.
Yes.
But also having with a trained, happy staff, but also having my product line everywhere. Still, like, I love being an entrepreneur, but those are the two main passions that I'm moving into right now. And it's sort of like an evolution of what I was before, which was I want to get really good at dog grooming and really good at improv. Now we're going to do the next level. I'm like, okay, dog grooming, now product line so I can reach the masses, make grooming easier for everyone, make loving your dog easier for everyone. And then reaching more people with my improv by writing it down and making it a screenplay.
And it's interesting because I do get glimpses of that too, even through your social. And I think like, you know, navigating away from kind of the tradition of a more, I'll say like a more traditional environment, perhaps for, you know, grooming or for writing. But then when you begin to put it online, you build up this strong community, personal brand, you know, for yourself, particularly on Instagram. You know, I think you've done a really great job, and TikTok is also another, you know, quick, short form content, you know, quick turnaround. When you're thinking about long form content, do you find that you get inspired by the things that you're putting up, you know, on Instagram, shorter form, or do you find that it takes away and actually challenges when you sit down to write the longer form content? Is the attention span challenged?
No, I want to do it all. If I had a bigger staff of more editors, more people to help shoot and edit things, I would be doing so much more.
I love that.
Like I'm telling you, I have no shortage of ideas ever. I'm always exploding inside. I think it's because I was such a stoner for so long. I was just like a stoner in my 20s and early 30s that I just feel like I'm making up for lost time.
Yeah.
I was like that girl that was like partying, hanging out really, really late with the comedy guys, like just, you know, in that scene.
Yeah.
Just waking up at, you know, really late, waiting tables, drinking. I wasn't serious about my life.
Yeah.
I wasn't serious. I was ambitious, but I just knew one day it'll happen. But I just never took inspired action. And so I think that's why I'm insane and exploding and always having a million ideas, because I'm like, well, I missed all this opportunity in my 20s. Now I'm responsible. Now I love Notion and a Google Sheet. Sign me up. It's like my happy place now.
That's so interesting.
Back then it was like, isn't that weird?
Yeah. Like, you know, it's like, I think similarly, like you couldn't get me in a spreadsheet in my 20s. I was like, ew, those are disgusting. And now I'm like in them every day by choice. And I'm making pivot tables by choice. And I'm making presentations because I love it, you know, and it's like, okay, I am such a nerd, or hopefully not a loser. I think I'm pretty awesome, but yeah.
You are not a loser.
Thanks,
no way.
Jess. Yeah.
You're a winner.
I mean, so are you. And I think that when we think about winning and we think about growth and we think about evolution, that urgency of like making up for lost time, like that's what's up. Like it's not about, you know, saying, oh man, I wasted all this time. It's like, okay, I did that. That was fun. Like I got to go to all those shows and do all those things.
Yeah. Probably all meant it needed to happen to make me this girl.
Yes, exactly. And now that we're looking forward, I mean, what would you say is like 2024, new year, we're in the vibes. Hopefully you did some, you know, mood boarding, some manifestations. Like what's happening this year? You mentioned a product line. Is that 2024?
That is going to happen in most likely early to spring of 2025.
Amazing. So you're going to be working on the product line all year.
Product line is my big focus. No more online courses. Okay. I have a full library now. I've spent the last 3 years building my online course library. It takes about 4 to 6 months to make one online course for me. So it's like a huge thing.
Yeah.
So I have that done. It's like now I'm going to be able to let that basically run itself. Hopefully I might do a subscription model with, something with we're tinkering with the idea, but the two big things are the product line and, my screenplay and just writing.
Yeah.
And more of a YouTube presence. I started to make cute videos. Like that's really fun for me. Like I said, if I had people that would come and shoot and edit my videos, I would do videos every day because I love it. It's so
like
fun.
Your call to action. We're just getting people to like, if you're listening and you want to shoot and edit videos,
editor in LA, hit me up. I found a couple, but some of them are so expensive that it's just not feasible.
Yes.
I had one girl I gave her one video to edit. This was recently. She gave me a bill, an invoice that said 37 hours to edit
What?
this video. I felt kind of taken advantage of. And I was like, can you send me a breakdown of your hours? I've worked
Yeah.
with many editors. And she said it took her 14 hours to organize 3 hours of footage.
I mean, I feel like that's a
I'm
personal
like,
problem, not
oh
an
my
invoicing
God.
thing.
And like, when you're like, what are the challenges? It's like that. I mean, that's not an employee. It's, a contractor, but it's like,
Yeah.
if you're an entrepreneur listening to this, it's like you just have to figure all things out, and it takes money. So her bill was $1,100 for one 6-minute video.
You're like, well, that is the first and last time.
I will never work with you again.
Yeah, that's the short-sightedness that makes me crazy, because it's like
this is a YouTube video.
totally. And like, if you were reasonable or, set expectations around pricing ahead of time, then you could first of all say, hey, that's more than I want to spend. My budget for the video is X. But also there's an opportunity, that if it had gone well and it was within your budget, then you could have built a working relationship with this person, and they could have been editing so much faster.
Yes. I have so many things I want to edit.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like I'm figuring it out, but like, that's the thing about being an entrepreneur is like now I know, okay, so I learned that I need to understand, just like with hiring people. Okay, so here's my budget. This is what I'm hoping to spend. How long does it take you to edit a video? If I give you 3 hours of footage, about how long, so now I'm a wiser version of myself, even though it costs me some money. I'm definitely, with every move I make, I'm becoming wiser and wiser, because once you make one mistake of hiring a bad employee and having to pay a lot of money for it, then you just don't do that again.
Yeah,
I've
and
made
I think
so many
that's
mistakes.
great. Yeah, learning from your mistakes though is like the way forward. I mean, I didn't go to college, so I feel like every time I pay for a mistake and it costs me a lot of money, I'm like, I guess that was my tuition. I guess that's
a good way of looking at it. Yeah. I didn't go to college either.
There you go. We're just paying tuition.
Okay, we're just paying tuition.
But it's not to Sally Mae, so it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great way of looking at it.
Oh, good.
I just read this book called Word Up by Danny Katz.
I haven't read that yet.
It's so good. I recommend it so much. I love the way basically, our words matter, and they create our life, and they create our identity and everything, and they make us feel a certain way. And just like what you were just saying, like a different perspective, just looking at it as like, this is my college tuition. It's such a gentle, kind way of having grace with yourself as you make mistakes. It's so beautiful. I'm totally going to use that.
Oh, good. I mean, that's what I love sharing these conversations, because I always gain something. Hopefully I can offer something in exchange. Right. And I think that it is so hard to continue to press ourselves forward when there is resistance. I mean, it's expensive. It's, having a brick and mortar is a whole other ball of wax. I mean, that's its own thing. But then you have employees who are counting on you for their well-being. You have contractors who are making you bananas. You have dogs who are having, accidents or bullying other dogs. And you're like, oh my God, what's going on? When you think
that's
about
like nothing, just that is like nothing.
That's light work, right?
That's light work. It's a lot of the psychological stuff. Like, is everyone mad at me? Mm-hmm. Did I say something wrong? Mm-hmm. Do I have to go talk to someone? Do that, like that kind of psychological stuff, part of being a leader. That's the part that drains me the most and just is the least fun for me.
Yeah. Are there people who, I call it like a personal board of directors? Like, are there people that, outside of like the ones who are the most motivating, inspiring, maybe more like peer level, or other folks that you're just like, I'm bullshit, this thing happened, I need to hit this group text really quick? Like, who do you? Yeah. So you have your people who can like back you up.
I have people that are friends that get it. I have paid people like coaches and a therapist.
Yeah.
I have all the people. I'm always welcoming more. I love entrepreneurs. There's just like a certain thing about owning a business that like, it's so isolating sometimes, because it's regardless of even if you're married, if you have like, it's just all on me. There's no one else. Yeah. So like people, it's like, it's definitely it can be a thing. So like other entrepreneurs definitely can relate.
Yeah, I call it the island of Lauren sometimes. I'm just like, I could explain this problem, but it's actually just, it's not going to make as much sense to anybody else of why it's pissing me off as it does to me. So I'm just going to like say I need to vent to these paid professionals or friends or, you know, yes, definitely my husband, probably Eugene, my dog. He hears it too. He just kind of looks at me like,
he's such a legend. He's such a legend. I feel like we should do like an ASMR style bath with him one time. Where I can like, you know, those quiet baths that we do on our,
I love them.
He's just such a legend.
He's a gentle soul.
He's like, I love him so much. He's such I love that you don't cut his hair. Yeah. Because we have terriers that come over. I actually just did a voiceover for a social media video that I'm posting this week. And talking about how opinionated I am. And so many people with terriers, they cut them short. And I'm like, you're taking their fun away. It's like, they're supposed to look like, not supposed to, but like, it's so fun when they're scrappy and weird looking and they look like old men. Like, it's so fun.
Totally.
Don't make me cut this hair.
I mean, I have to credit, there was a groomer in Brooklyn where I first lived when I adopted Eugene from Korea. And he's half Korean Jindo, half Scottish Terrier, which is like random. And she's like, oh, I know the Jindo breed and I love a terrier. And I said, okay, great. Like, I want to cut his hair because he's growing in these mutton chops. And she goes, if you cut his hair, I will kill you. And she had this look. I'm like, I don't know. She's from Queens. She might actually end me.
What a legend.
I don't know. I was
Move
like,
to LA, honey. I got to hire this girl.
I was like, all right, Andrea, I will not cut his hair. She's like, I'll get him looking sharp and he's going to be in his element.
Okay. I love that.
And he kind of strutted out and I was like, all right, we are now just like tidying him up so he can see past the little scruff.
That's it. That's all he needs. He's so special just the way he is. Yes. You're lucky because a lot of dogs get matted. You know, if you don't cut their hair, if they just get too long, it's so much work to keep it brushed. Yeah. He doesn't have that kind of coat. He can have a long coat and it's like human hair. Okay. I know, it's so, his hair is so funny and so pretty and the coloring is so pretty. I mean, we could, let's just talk about Eugene the whole time.
This is actually now a Eugene podcast. I don't know what anybody else is thinking.
I think we have to post when this is out, we could post a picture of Eugene on my Instagram.
Oh, he would love that.
I don't think I have any good pictures of him.
You know, he might have been like bashful the first couple of times, but he's definitely in his bag now. Comes out with his bow tie and he's like, hi, check me out. He'd love to
give him a little bow, a little something.
I love that. I mean, thinking about like, what's the most frustrating thing that people do with, in regards to like their dogs and grooming, like that you see come in, like what makes you just irate?
Okay, it's called the doodle cycle. I called it that. You get a doodle puppy. You want to keep it fluffy. You take it to the groomer. It's a little matted. Okay, we're going to show you how to brush your dog. Go home, if you want it fluffy, you got to brush your dog. Next time comes back a little more matted. Okay. Coats are changing. The dog's now like a little bit older so that the client's like, no, I still want to keep it really fluffy. Okay, but you have to brush it because it's going to get matted. Third time, okay, it's now really matted because it's hard to brush a doodle and it's easy to brush their back, but everybody just brushes no one brushes their legs or any, you know, under their collar or whatever. Now the dog's totally matted. But they're insisting on keeping the length. That is the most frustrating thing. And there's been cases where I'm like, this dog is so matted, I have to shave it now.
Oh no.
And like I could have prevented that if you would have just let me make it even like teddy bear long, like, you know, 2 inches, an inch. Yeah. It would have still been so cute, but you insisted on the length. I had a friend who wouldn't let me trim her dog's eyes. The dog started bumping into things.
No.
Like, that's frustrating to me. So if you have a doodle or a dog and you really want them fluffy, maybe take half the length off. Yeah. It's still fluffy, but this will help you maintain it so that and then just get the dog groomed every month. And if you want a really fluffy dog, come over like weekly or bi-weekly for bath and fluffs and like the groomer will take care of it for you. That's one of the frustrating things. Or like scheduling things are kind of annoying. You know what's really annoying lately? I was just dealing with this today, busy work that I was happy to do. But we have an intake form on my website and I've just been going through it, getting new clients to come in because we have a new groomer and she's a delight. And so now I'm able to book for her. Yay. And so people will fill out my intake form And then I will reach out to them and then they just never respond back. Or
Ew.
they're just like, we're in New York for the rest of the year, someone said. Or I'm just like, you filled out my intake form.
Yeah.
And like, no one is like coming in. I'm like, now, like, I would say like we have 300 people on this wait list for the intake form. I would say maybe 5 of the people I've reached out to are actually going to come in, maybe 10.
We should make the bar of entry harder
really...
for them to fill out the form. Like you should have them submit a video of them with their animal and then you can decide.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally do that. I do have a new website launching so soon. It's going to be so cute.
Oh my
It's going to combine my online courses and my brick and mortar and everything into one website. But I wonder if we can have some kind of thing where it's like, are you sure you want to come over? You're taking the time to fill out this form. So you let me know.
It's like people who fill out a job application and then you reach out to them and you're like, hey, I saw you applied for this role. Cause I consult with a lot of my clients. They have me run hiring, for them. And I reach out and they're like, no response. Or they schedule it through like my calendar and then they don't show up on the call. And I'm like, okay, you're the
one that
wanted
wanted
time. You wanted the gig. Like, I didn't make you.
What do you do for a living? You're a coach?
Yeah, so I do executive coaching. Yeah, what do you?
What's your story? Let's switch the interview.
Okay. So I'm an HR and executive coach, and I do like HR, like fractional HR support. I was a recruiter and HR person. I just hired
one.
Oh my god!
But now I'm not really hired. She hasn't invoiced me. I'm like, friend, don't work for free. Hello.
We need to invoice people. That's like that drives me. You know my pet peeve. Invoice
me, because then you don't, and then it takes 2 months and now it's $3,000 instead of 1,500 and here we are.
Yeah, exactly.
So you do like fractional HR stuff. So
fractional HR, and then I come in and I like fix the dumpster fire sometimes. And then I also do,
That's so great. Yeah. Oh my God. That is so great. Do you help like if a bunch of employees are in a big fight, you help them?
Yeah, I do a lot of mediations. I just did one like right before Christmas. That was like my end of year. I was like, and we're mediating. Great. And so I do mediations.
Okay,
and
I'm absolutely hiring you.
Fun.
Are you kidding?
Like
I've been looking
some
for
policies. I've been here. Here I am.
Okay. I didn't know. I had no idea.
And then I coach executives and founders on like, how to keep your shit buttoned up and not pop off when you want to pop off, because don't we all? Yeah. So that's what I do with most of my days. Yeah.
So you help founders. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm like you. I like to have multiple things happening in my calendar and in my day, and like how I actually, manage my own time. If I'm doing the same thing, like what even is a 9 to 5? I don't know. I was gonna say 9 to 5, like whatever that is. If I was doing the same thing all day, I'm just bored out of my brain. I can't do that.
Yeah. No, me neither.
I've got to be making shit.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Like a podcast.
Like a podcast, exactly.
I did 3 episodes of a podcast and it was fun, so fun. But like it was just too much for me and I just didn't feel like trying to do it.
It's a lot of work.
If I could do it with a podcast network, I would.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I just wanted some more help with it.
Yeah, it's a lot, like editing and, scheduling and content creation and writing questions and writing, it's just like, and then sometimes like you write questions and you get on and someone like goes totally off the rails and you're like, cool, I'm just going to get in the crazy train with you.
Probably.
No, you're great. You're great. Really? But some people really go like, I'm talking way out there and you're like, I'm going to have to figure this out later. Well, I know we all need to have a little bit of time together. So who are some of the brands that you most admire right now? Like, who do you think is doing business right? It's so hard to do it on your own. Tell me.
Okay, well, there is a brand called Vacation, and I'm obsessed with them because they have a sunscreen company. And it's my understanding that it's like these 2 guys that were in advertising.
Okay.
And they were like, back in the 80s, everybody would just like lather body oil all over them. And like they would just lay out in the sun and it was amazing. And it was like a party and it was just like hot bods in the sun. And then skin cancer, womp womp. And so then everybody was like very clinical and serious about skincare. Be careful. It's like scary now. So I read one article, so like I'm paraphrasing and like who knows if how right the story is, but basically they were like, we want to bring the fun back into sunscreen. Let's
Ooh.
bring it back to the 80s, but also have in mind that you need to be protected from harmful rays. And so I'm obsessed with their branding. I'm obsessed with their
I know the
messaging.
brand. It's like blue kind of script, right? On
Yeah.
the and they have the champagne. Is that the champagne body? I've seen it advertised.
Yes,
It's beautiful.
they have the whipped cream, body whipped cream. It's just like fun 80s, cheesy, but in a good way. Their Instagram is like so authentically 80s.
I love
So,
that.
yeah, so they are a big brand inspiration for the way I want to run my new product line.
I love that.
But I'm very inspired by them. They also just did a collab with Le Puz. Le Puz is a puzzle company who I'm also obsessed with because my website developer, they're called I Love Creatives. They're wonderful. They showed me Le Puz when we were first starting to talk about the design of my website. Le Puz has a banana flying across the screen when you're like on their website.
That's amazing.
It's just whimsical and weird. And so I like brands that are funny.
Yeah.
And like funny and beautiful and special and make you feel warm. And so the Le Puz, and they just did a collab, and I was like, two of my favorite brands.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like that's who really inspires me. Are you talking about that, or did you want like a dog grooming brand?
No, I was talking about brands that really inspire you. I think you hit it right on the head. No, I mean, like if you were inspired by a dog grooming brand, I don't know if you'd be starting your own because you're like, this shit's uninspiring.
There's nothing out there like what I'm going to do. There's such a hole in the industry for someone like me to take over. I'm so excited to be launching.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly it, is when you see that hole and you're like, no one is doing this and no one can do this the way I'm going to do this. So I better do it. Better make some space in that Google Calendar of mine. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love
We're
that.
going for it.
I really am excited for you. I mean, we've talked about like a lot of different spaces for like being an entrepreneur, but what is one final thought you want to leave our listeners with today?
Wow. Do you mean like a thought or like advice, or who are your listeners?
Yeah, well, it's pretty wide ranging, seeing that I saw it was played in 69 countries last year and somehow I'm charting in Finland. What?
Ooh.
But
hello, Finland. Let's go on vacation there. See what it's like.
Totally. But besides that, I don't know what my alliance is with Finland, but I love you guys. But yeah, I think we have.
I'll do a general words of parting words. Gratitude is the strongest form of the strongest energy that we can emit, love and gratitude. So my advice or my thought is if you're out there and you're feeling feelings, focus on what good things are in your life and focus on the tiny miracles and have some gratitude. I love the book. It's called The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. I don't know if you know it. It's so good.
I do know it. Yeah, it's a good one.
I love it so much. And so I revisit that like once a year. And so I just feel like everybody, we're all just trying so hard. If you're listening to this podcast, probably you're trying so hard. Let's just remember how hard we're all trying and just like, it's okay. We're on a rock floating in space. We're going to be okay.
I love
have some gratitude for what's good and just know like, we're just trying so hard and it's all okay.
I love that. See, you are still a stoner deep down inside.
I'm a big old stoner. No,
Jess,
not really anymore.
This has been so fun. I thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's been a blast. Don't Fuck This Up is a podcast written, produced, and edited by Lauren Alvarez. New episodes dropping every Wednesday. Be sure to follow, rate, and review this and every episode. And until next week, please keep it together and try your best not to fuck this up.